days worth of trying to believe him. He's gonna. But then, of course, when we finally do get to talk, it's one of those things where, well, I really wish that I had recordings of all. I do have recordings of most of our conversations. So that's a good thing, isn't it? I did waste the whole day believing Sigi again. Um, yeah, people will literally do anything except for what needs to be done. There's a legal process, and it doesn't work if people don't take part. When an innocent person is being victimized by a bunch of folks and you're going to BS them, what the hell's wrong with you? Now, I wanted to believe Sigi, but it's hard to believe somebody who, well, keeps on saying that they're gonna and not following through. And then when we get something that does actually work, again, not following through. All right, we finally got that thing up and running on YouTube so that he could actually keep his word and we could actually do this in public and speak in public. And then he didn't want to do it that way. He wanted to do it on his channel, but he's got to set up his channel, and he's just got a bunch of other this and that's and the others going on in his own life. And you see, this is the problem with believing people. It's not that I actually believe any of these people. It's that I try. I try because I got nowhere else to turn, nobody else to go to. Somebody tells me they care, they're going to take a look, they're going to speak up. But when are you going to speak up? How long is it going to take you to do that? Just like a lot of these other web sleuth folks, it seems to me that he blew smoke up my ass, but wasn't really interested. He wanted to say over and over again, I know you're not a liar, I know you're not a liar. Well, that's because I'm not a liar. That doesn't mean I've never lied. He says, I believe you. I'm like, well, I don't need you to believe me. I need you to know for sure. I want you to look at that evidence. He said, I'll look at it. And he says, I did look at it. Well, speak up. I don't know how. You don't know how to speak up? You got a YouTube channel. You got a Facebook. Either one of those are fine. But the follow through, that's the problem. No follow through. None whatsoever. He said he applied so that he could have a live feed on his YouTube, and I was hoping that he was telling the truth. But the problem is, it's hard to believe somebody when they just never do. Now, is it unfair for this German feller that I've never met after only 16 days for me to not be happy with him? Well, that depends on your perspective. That depends on whether or not you believe that years and years of this is okay and that I should just let people lead me on that they're going to help and waste my time and waste my resources. I mean, I have to set time aside to do this. And that's because people want to wait until I'm in the middle of something, and then they want me to drop everything when I am in the middle of something to do what they want. You are going to wait until I am busy and then interrupt me. If I got other things that I could be doing today and I am setting them off because you said that you were going to help me how I need, understand that I need your help. I am setting these things aside for you to keep your word. I am wasting a day not going to the places that I should be going and doing the things that I should be doing because I need help, and doing them alone is fruitless, which is why I need your help. But you do have to be more than just words. Now with Sigi, it said person unavailable. I'm used to that. I am used to that. I'm used to people becoming unavailable after, of course, I send them evidence. They want to, who knows what they want? Maybe he's got his channel already. Maybe he already has a channel. Maybe he's friends with one of these folks who's my web sleuths. Maybe he plays the same games that they do. Who knows? Now, for me, wanting to believe people, and what they show me, they're not the same. Hey, Sean, you should believe me because I told you I did something. No, I don't work by the honor system because people are not honorable. They're selfish. Loyalty above all else except honor. But people are only loyal to themselves. Natalie's mother was only loyal to herself. Natalie's father was only loyal to herself. My father only loyal to himself. My mother only loyal to herself. My sister only loyal to herself. Candace Bondurant only loyal to herself. Wanting to believe you. You know, I had people who were my friends for decades that I went to about this issue before Natalie was killed. And I wanted to believe them when they said they cared about me. They did love me. They did care what was going on. They did believe me. They did want to help. And then I'm like, hey, speak up. Like you do with Zayd Atkinson. You don't even know Zayd Atkinson. Speak up like you do with Sammy Leon Lawrence IV. You don't even know Sammy Leon Lawrence IV. You share his posts. You share his words. But me, you tell me that I literally saved your life and you won't speak up for me, and you've known me for how many years? But I got Sigi Lork, this guy that I don't know. This guy who says that he's been looking at it for a year and a half. He feels bad for me. He's going to look. He's going to share. He's gonna. But when? But when? When he says he's gonna, I end up waiting for him to keep his word, for it always to be some excuse not to. And that's the problem. When? When are you going to? When are we going to actually try what is supposed to be done? Why are you literally going to go out of your way to do something in a way that I said, hey, if you do it that way, you're doing it wrong. And you're doing it intentionally wrong, and it's going to screw me over. See, between Sigi speaking up or me having to go through, and of course there's a bunch of other evidence I got to go through as well to expose other people and their situations and the time that got wasted. The fact that they wanted to tell me things, but they're not telling the public. They're not speaking up. None of them tried. It's not a matter of liking somebody or disliking them. You know, a used car salesman's got to be the nicest person in the world. He's got to smile real big to pass it as it must be the truth when he says it's only got 120,000 miles on it. Reality is it's got 380,000 miles on it. It's at the end of its friggin' life, but you know what? He wants to make the sale. He wants you to believe him. He'll talk nice because he wants you to believe him. But that is predatory. The fact that I got to try to trust foreign people that I don't know in foreign countries is just nuts. It's insane that here in the United States, people don't care. People here in the United States do not care about United States citizens unless they're gay or black or women. care more about the situation with ICE. And look how quickly that disappeared with COVID. How many of y'all remember any of that now? That was your big thing 2 years ago. ICE, 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 ICE. Doing all this stuff to brown folks. And you forgot the brown folks. And it took what? Nothing. Nothing at all for you to forget that those brown folks exist. Holy shit. And there was, of course, as with most people, when I'm recording that stuff with them, you know, there's the parts where they've spouted out something that is an assumption and it's wrong. And I try to explain to them the reality of it. So what was Sigi going to do today? He was telling me that he set up a website, and he was telling me that he did this, that, and the other. Telling me he was going to call me up and we were going to have an interview today. And, well, this is what I expected. This is actually what I expected out of him because of his behaviors. Because he was literally going out of his way to literally do what it is that he said he wouldn't do. He said that he understood. So how am I supposed to trust you when you don't keep your word? And that is the problem right there. Are you going to? When? Because I took the time out to do as you asked. I took the time out to do as you wanted. I took the time out of my day for the help that you said that you would provide. You just simply didn't provide it. Now, of course, that must be my fault, right? It's going to be my fault because I speak out about it. I should have kept my mouth shut. Well, you know, this is creepy to me. Real creepy to me. Especially when someone says they understand and then they literally do what it is that shows they don't. If you really care, then show that you care. Listen, if you say the same thing to me 30 times, if you say that Germans are slow 30 times, you know, I did hear you the first time. And no, he wasn't saying it as in they're not intelligent people. He was saying they're trying to insinuate that they're slow to jump to conclusions and jump on a bandwagon. Well, after World War II, I would understand why the German population would be reluctant to jump on a bandwagon. But he also says that, well, Germans will jump on every American bandwagon. If America says that, it must be true. Now, with him being unreachable currently, I don't know what that's from. I don't know if he blocked me. I suppose I should probably get on there and even see if we're still friends. Because, see, stuff like this happens all the time, and often people get a hold of me later on when I see them in real life. And they're like, I don't know, dude, I thought you blocked me. No, apparently Facebook has an algorithm that blocks people who offer to help me. And that, well, especially right after Natalie died and I was trying to turn in cops, they were able to, well, Waylon Lolatai, the officer who committed felonies and assaulted multiple homeless people, or people that he thought to be homeless, who are the ones that got settlements, not the ones who were homeless. Only the minorities who were in housing. Which is funny because Zaid Atkinson is black, I suppose, but he's lighter skinned than Waylon Lolatai. Zaid Atkinson, Samuel Leon Lawrence IV, Michelle Rodriguez, Kelly Clark, they're all lighter skinned than Waylon Lolatai. After they assaulted me and then charged me with felony assault, which is a whole bunch of Bolshevik, they had to drop the charges. But it didn't matter. They'd already had it played on the news that I was some sort of a violent person person who was assaulting cops and blah, blah, blah. Their narrative was allowed, not the body cam evidence. Nobody ever bothered to see if that story was fucking true to this day. And that's why the term mentally ill is a weapon. A weapon that they use for getting away with murder, for getting away with theft, for getting away with fraud, for getting away with rape, and you help them. The same way that Sigi helped them over the last 16 days. He may have even had good intentions, but he hasn't helped. He's wasted my time on multiple occasions. If you're gonna do it, then actually do it. Now, this might be one of those things where, of course, a lot of people who were blocked from talking to me or had multiple accounts, and they offered to help me on one account, but they didn't offer to help on the other. The one that they offered to help me on is, of course, blocked, but the other one is fine. If I block somebody, it gives me the option to unblock it. Maybe people got on, realized that Sigi was trying to help me, and maybe they got on and started complaining that he wasn't really who he said he is, and he's got to provide ID to Facebook. I've had to do that. I've had to provide ID to my Facebook so that I can keep my account. People claiming I wasn't who I said I was. Meanwhile, you guys pretend I'm some sort of a horrible person with a billion accounts. Ted Bollinger's got a bunch of accounts. Derek Apodaca's got a lot of accounts. Heard some yelling, just making sure everything's alright. Alright. Looks to be. Thing. Doing the right thing reminds me of what? What does it remind me of? It reminds me of pulling out my own teeth. I tried that. That wasn't smart of me to do, but I was desperate and the pain was severe, and I needed it to stop. 5 years. At all the time I was homeless, 5 years of that was pure Hades. I could barely think because of my teeth rotting out of my head and constant infections and spending all the money that I was earning to go get x-rays from dentists who told me I got to come back cash in hand in 2 weeks. So I come back in 2 weeks. I ain't got enough cash to do that. So they can't do it. I'll have to come back when I have the money again. So I'm going through that pain. And you guys, you complain that over the weekend your tooth broke and you couldn't get it crowned or capped. Well, finally Obamacare popped in, and you guys want to talk about how horrible that is. You know what's horrible? Making somebody go to work when they can't function, when they've got an infection in their head that's fucking killing them. They got the job specifically so they would have insurance for medical and dental. And then after 6 months, when that dental is supposed to kick in so that person can get those fucking teeth out of their head, Cheesecake Factory says, oh, you didn't get the dental option. You didn't get the insurance option. Yeah, we had a meeting the week before you were hired and you missed that meeting. So, yeah, you don't get any insurance. That doesn't matter, though. What also doesn't matter is that I just spent a lot of time trying to believe somebody else who's a web sleuth who found me over a web sleuth group. I got to try to believe him. How am I supposed to believe him when he wants to show me no evidence? He wants to make claims, and making claims is supposed to be the same as following through. No, it's not. That's the problem here. You're not following through. You're wasting my time. The question here is whether or not you did it intentionally. Were you gaslighting me or not? For somebody who doesn't talk a lot, he sure said he doesn't talk a lot, an awful lot. I talk a lot. I hardly ever shut up when I'm on the internet. Now see, here's the thing. Why do I get on the internet? Why do I speak on here instead of to my friends in real life? I don't have any. For the last 6 years, they've been showing me they were never my friends. They pretended to be. When it came to actually doing friend shit, where are they? Looking the other way, pretending like they're going to help me and then ignoring me for literally years on end. Why? Because they're all sexist. Every one of them. We're taught to be sexist here in the United States. Everything is a man's fault. That's what we're taught. Everything must be a man's fault because he has a penis. It's a man's fault because 200 years ago, women couldn't vote. So all men today should be held accountable. Well, I think that the Egyptians should pay me for enslaving my people 2,000 years ago. And I think that I should get 2,000 years worth of reparations. Also, I didn't ask to be born here, so I'm going to have to ask for reparations for being born as well. Are you guys seeing how ludicrous this is? That's not rational thinking, but apparently it's rational thinking if it's somebody else. Apparently this irrational thinking is somehow magically rational if you have a different gender than mine. Or if you have a different skin color than mine. Really, it comes down to, it comes down to who's right and who's wrong? No, absolutely not. It comes down to popularity, it comes down to looks, it comes down to gender, it all comes down to bias. Obviously, right now, I am stressed to the max. I've been bullshit again. I tried believing this guy, and you know, at least I let him know my frustrations with the situation. I was as patient as I could be given the situation, but when are you gonna? And when you say you understand that we have to do this together, doing it alone does not do any good, and then you literally go out of your way, you tell me that you did it alone. So you went out of your way to do something that you knew wasn't going to work because it would result in, number one, having no evidence, and number two, having to believe you. Number three, having to have a way to get you into court. I don't have his phone number. I got his email, and I can expose that. I got his picture, and I can expose that. But really, I'd have rather the guy didn't bullshit me to begin with. When people get busted bullshitting, they tend to dip out. I come to expect that. I gotta say good riddance whenever that happens. At least they're not lingering around after the fact. At least they're not snooping in on me years later like Mandy Hughes. At least she's gone. But then again, Mandy Hughes, she did that, didn't she? Absolutely she did. And then, of course, after the whole blocking me for telling the truth, then she wanted to unblock me and get on and snoop on my channel. And how did I discover that? Shit, did I just run over somebody's soda pop? I think I did. Yeah. Jackasses. I can't get them out from under my car. Anyway, with all these Life of Ativan and all the other accounts from that guy, I was able to find his account, and we'll probably post that up in a video or two. We'll show you who some of my predators are on the internet. We've also got videos and audio recordings of my predators in real life. We've also got the fact that police have repeatedly assisted my predators in getting away with their crimes, repeatedly done everything they could to prevent me from going to court and to mislead the situation to the courts. The Bollingers and the police had to work together to get away with what they did. They had to work together, and both of them keep hush-hush in court, keep hush-hush in their paperwork, make sure that they didn't say that I was in jail, make sure that they ignored the fact that I was incarcerated and illegally prevented from going to those court dates. Never mind the fact that my evidence was repeatedly stolen by the very people I was trying to turn in. I can't trust any of you. For good reason. You're not good people. You're bullshitters. It's entertainment, but nothing more. You'll say those pretty words. You'll say them 100 times, but 6 months down the road, you'll be telling me, why don't you just let it go? Because I'm still being punished. You stupid shits. Sigi Lork, he ain't the first, he won't be the last. Meanwhile, it isn't fake folks like him that pushed me to the point of wanting my life to end. It was all of the people who claimed to be my friends. All of these people who I had stuck up for, that every single one of them looked the other way when it was happening to me. JB 1987 Osorio typed, "It's a corrupt world with corrupt people." Osorio. Are you Portuguese? Osorio? Isn't that a Portuguese name? Not that it's my business, I just figured I'd ask. Yeah, the world is corrupt and people are corrupt. And you're their friend until it's time to do friend things. You're their friend until it interrupts their party. JB 1987 Osorio typed, "No, Mexican." Ah! Well, you're allowed to be Mexican, I assure you. I'm not one of those Nebraskans who hates all blacks and Mexicans. I'm also not one of those Nebraskans who assumes that everybody who speaks Spanish is Mexican. I'm also not one of those people who thinks every brown-skinned person is a Mexican. And when people are kind to me, I generally do point out the fact that brown-skinned folks are far kinder to me than white folks. That's not a matter of racism, that's a matter of observation. And that's one of the things that many people just simply don't care about. My observations are from first-hand experience, whereas you're listening to our predators and believing that, yes, predators are going to tell you the truth about what they've done. No. There's a reason that I've been so incredibly honest with all of this stuff. There's a reason that I've been trying to show it in public. There's a lot of stuff that if I show it in public, they'll use it to try to get my Facebook taken down or my YouTube taken down. So I get people that I hope will look at the evidence and try to share it themselves. Try to get the word out themselves. If they have the time to sit there for hours and hours and hours and edit stuff and do all this other stuff, well shit, you can go through some of my videos and, help to bleep out some of the stuff in there that's, something that you feel it wouldn't be appropriate. I can get that. I can understand that. I mean, a lot of my, not videos, but a lot of my audio recordings, they have my social security number in them, and they've got my phone number in them. Obviously, I got to go through and edit that part out in order to even do such a thing. But in order to record and post up the court date with Leslie Snell to show the crimes that they committed in that. Like, I had to do a lot. I had to jump through a lot of hoops. I had to waste a lot of time, and I ended up getting jack shit. With all these people, it's a lack of follow-through on their part, not mine. I have to wait until I have a friend or family member. As for the instructions, if I have to go in without a friend or family member, or have to make these calls without a friend or family member, or of course, these people want to procrastinate for 6 years. That's how men are treated in the United States. Men are blown off. That's not just in the U.S., though. This is worldwide. Now, we're told, hey, don't look at what's going on in the United States to men. You need to look over to the Middle East to what they're doing to women. We need to ignore the fact that we are genitally mutilating boys at birth here in the United States. But we're going to say, hey, there are some Muslim countries where some girls are genitally mutilated. And you know what? That's true. But you're ignoring those things happening here. And what's one of the biggest excuses us boys are told why we want to have it all chopped up at birth? Oh, well, it's for her pleasure. She'll enjoy it more if we dice you up when you're an infant. Hold on a second. What does an infant care if a 40-year-old woman is going to enjoy it more or not? It's not hers. It's not hers. Now here it says, this is for the prevention. And what does it start with? A family member or friend. Jesus fucking Christ, come on now. What the hell is going on? See, I gotta be afraid to go to cops if I go alone because I'm homeless. The people that are homeless that said that they would go in with me, they're not going to keep their word to do so. Claire's not going to. She found herself a penis, and now she's all over that. Now, when it says, how can elder abuse be prevented? A family or friend. That's right, I went to family and friends before Natalie was killed. I already knew my family was going to be fucking useless. I went to my friends. When you're being abused by child molesters and rapists and fucking drug dealers, go into a family that's full of child molesters, rapists, fucking drug dealers is probably not going to net you any assistance. Especially when you've told on them. Yeah, you think that you should be allowed to abuse your children and get away with it. My little brother Michael thought that. My dad thought that. My mom thought that. My mom's dad thought that. Lots of parents in this situation seem to think they should be allowed to do whatever the fuck they want, including fucking their own kids. Like Brian Bruns fucking my mom. But what about my mom helping sexual predators like her own dad? And like my little brother Michael Allen Albert. And of course, like the guy that she cheats on her husband with's kid, Andrew Witcher. She helped all of those predators get away at the expense of her own children. Oh, and also Douglas Cowden. We can't forget about him. Now with Sigi, yeah, he had a good run, 16 days. That's a good run. It's a good run of bullshit. It's a good run for me to try to believe your words while you're doing literally everything that you can to do the opposite. Where you say you understand and then you do the opposite. When I say that if you do it in this way, it's not going to work and here's why, and then you literally only do it that way and it doesn't work and that's why, And then I say, hey, maybe we should try it together, like I said to begin with. If you're telling the truth, you wouldn't be trying to hide stuff. On the bright side, I do record everything. So, of course, tomorrow, it'll be Monday. Still got nobody to go in with me. Still got nobody to make the fucking calls with me. And I got nobody but predators to ask. None of my friends are friends. They've all showed that none of them are friends. And if I ask any of them for help, they're going to be predatory towards me. I'm better off just being ignored by them, right? At least they're still my... No, they're not. If they're ignoring me, how are they my friends? If they've ignored me for 6 years and gone out of their way for the last 6 years not to find out anything that's going on with me, but they want to talk over me and tell me all about their personal problems and then wonder why their personal problems ended up on the fucking internet. People are dead stupid. Stop talking about yourself and help. Don't pretend to be a friend. You're a selfish cunt who only talks about yourself. You can't even call and listen. You can't even try to do this in a human fashion. You want to go out of your way to make me feel as inhumane as possible, typing pretty words at me. It's not help. That's showing me that you don't care. You don't even care enough to hear my voice. If you actually cared about me, you would want to hear my voice. I'd love to hear a familiar voice, to have some fun, to actually enjoy some part of my life instead of constantly having to look over my shoulder for another Molly or another Farnsworth. Instead of having to look over my shoulder for another Beeson or another Bollinger or another bitch. There's a lot of fucking crazy people out here. Those are the people that I have to go to for help because you guys don't give a fuck. I'm stuck out here with actual schizophrenics while you guys don't give a fuck. You're just pretty words. You never intended on helping. Oh, we got Mr. Ativan making another account on here. Luckily, we were able to find out who this asswipe is earlier today. So not only do I get to get rid of this account, well, I get to show the world his other account. Yay! And what do we do with this guy? Hide user on this channel. Blam! He typed he controls Sigi. And that might be it. He might actually. Sigi might be one of his friends, one of his followers. Sigi did say that he's got his own YouTube streaming channel. And these guys do get a lot of other people involved. See, these people have been making accounts, many of them since before Natalie was killed. Most of the people doing it now are web fucking nut jobs. Watched one of these Natalie Bollinger sites. Thought it'd be okay to be a piece of fucking shit. Now maybe Sigi is one of these asswipes. Maybe he's not. Maybe he had good intentions, but his behaviors and his actions show no. He was blowing smoke up my ass. The great thing about this Ativan feller is that I already know that he's habitually going to make the same ones. It'll be Haldol or Ativan or 666. It'll be something. But you notice how none of it is actual help in person. None of it is actually following the laws. It's a bunch of fucking bullshitters. And I gotta go to who for help? My sicko dad? My fucking druggy whore mom? Who protects child molesters and rapists? Are you fucking kidding me? Maybe I should go to my older brother who's strung out on fucking meth. Oh wait, nope. My entire family showed me after Natalie was killed, they still didn't give a fuck about me or what I was going through. No matter what. My mom was pissed off. I went to my grandma's funeral. My grandma couldn't stand my mom. My grandma could have been an actual mother to my mother, but my grandma couldn't fucking stand her. Couldn't stand my Uncle Greg either. Don't get me wrong, she loved them. I talked to my grandma once about how I was trying to get a job and Grandpa wouldn't hire me. And my grandma said, well, that's because your mom and your Uncle Greg extorted him for over $200,000. How did they do that? Both of them knew my grandpa Bruns, Brian Bruns of Chapel, Nebraska, was a fucking pedophile. So they used that to extort him. Either you give me money or we're going to tell on you for fucking Angela K. Wade, a.k.a. Angela K. Schwartz, a.k.a. Angela K. Albert, a.k.a. Angela K. Bruns, a.k.a. Angela K. Hicks. My mom's been married a lot. She hopped around to whoever had her drugs until she ran into Scott Wade. Now, they called him Snow for a reason. Yeah, that was his designation in the Air Force. What did he do in the Air Force? Well, he protected us and our country from computer viruses and transported cocaine. So they called him Snow. Very cute. Apparently, he had a wife before my mom. Yeah. I always liked the guy, though. I thought he was an idiot. I guess like him isn't really the right word. I kind of had some respect for him. Now, let's get back to brown people. A lot of the time I was in Hood River, I did talk about how decent brown folks was to me. Native Americans, people of Hispanic descent, Puerto Ricans, lots of people. Samoans, Cambodians, a bunch of people that are not white. Ah, screw it, I'll go the other way. That lady just wanted to stop right in the middle of the fucking road. I'm like, alright, so I can't turn that way because you're stopped in the middle of the fucking road. Now, here's the thing about Sigi, just like with many other people. I wanted to believe him. Wanted to. I knew not to. With all these people, I know not to. But I have to trust somebody. When people offer me help, I have to jump on that. I have to show that I'm not just ignoring help. That I'm not just going, oh, well, people are offering me the help that I need, and I'm just going to turn down the help that I need. No, I'm specifically asking for specific help, and that specific help is the specific help according to these guidelines that are supposed to be followed. If you follow this stuff, they're supposed to do their job. But the only person doing it is me, because everybody else wants to argue and literally try anything else except follow the law. Now with Sigi, with him letting me know about the recording laws there, alright, good. I did look them up. I wanted to make sure, if somebody's going to tell me something, I want to know if it's true or not. The fact that you're not allowed to record stuff in Germany, yes, I didn't just look that up. I looked it up, took screenshots, and posted it on my Facebook. Of course I did. Honesty means a lot to me. When people say that they care, be honest. Be honest. If you can ignore this abuse for 6 years, you can go out of your way to do everything in your power to not be a friend, to show that you don't care, that it doesn't matter who hurts me. As long as it doesn't interrupt your fucking party. As long as it doesn't interrupt you getting a blowjob or getting your crotch munched. As long as it doesn't interrupt your drug usage or your drug sales. Fuck, that ain't help. I would like 1 coffee, 15 sugars, 15 creamers. No, sir, that'd be all.
All right, $1 for window.
Thank you very much. Now, of course, it's me wasting 16 days believing him. It wasn't like I just put all my eggs in one basket, though. All right. Here you go, sir. Thank you very much. There's also a few other people that, well, you can't ask a pretty white girl for help. That's just a waste of your time. That didn't work. See, it's a whole process, and if I don't follow it, thank you, ma'am.
Have a great night.
I'll at least pretend to while I'm at your window. Thank you for being pleasant. So, of course, between Sigi coming forward and me having to go through and find a place where I can sit down and go through and edit everything so that it's in a format that I can post up on YouTube and add it to 10,000 other pieces of evidence nobody's going to look at. But it's fine, it's not happening to them. It must be okay. Here's the thing, if you're going to tell me something, make sure it's true. See, what I'm asking for is honesty, transparency. If you're going to hide things, you're not helping. You're not helping anyone. You're not helping me, and you're not helping you either. You're making this worse for all of us out here by bullshit. Now, what are the chances that this Ativan feller is friends with Sigi Lork? It's actually a pretty good possibility. They might even play the same video game. I sent Sigi a link to it, actually. And that's when I noticed that I have the person is not responding or can't be reached or whatever the hell it is. So I'm not going to just outright dismiss my predator as a liar either. There's a possibility this guy's telling the truth. This Rich Life of Ativan, or whatever the hell he's calling himself now. It's usually either something Ativan, something 666, or something Howdall. As far as believing Sigi, I wanted to. I really did. I still want to believe him. You know, when I get done with this, despite the fact that it really does annoy the shit out of me, at least I didn't put all my eggs in one basket. At least I went to people who I know in real life who pretended to be my friends and let them know what pieces of shit they are. And that's the difference between them and Sigi. Sigi doesn't know me. He might be an alright guy. He sure sounds alright. The stuff that he got stuck on, I get it. There's also a lot of stuff that he insisted on saying, and you can see that when he tries to say something and it's something that needs to be corrected, or I need to say something and it is important, if he decides that he wants to start talking, He'll either start talking and not shut up, or he'll start talking, not shut up, and hang up. And, apparently he doesn't like being talked over. I get that. I don't like being talked over either. And there's a lot of people that like to try to finish my sentences. And, that doesn't work if you don't know what's going on. That's where sending the evidence goes. And I was sending him evidence, and he's like, yeah, I can verify that, and I can verify that, and I can verify that. And I'm like, all right, let's get a YouTube channel up and going. We'll get it so that we can record you and I in a conversation together, live on YouTube, and all the stuff that you've seen, you can actually explain it in a video, and we can send it to who it needs to go to. There was a lot of support for George Floyd. There was a lot of support for Samuel Leon Lawrence IV. There's a lot of support for those people by way of people actually getting actively involved. But who is actively involved with me in any capacity other than bullshitting me and going out of their way not to do the lawful thing? I went to my friends because as a disabled adult, I have no rights. In order to prevent these things from getting out of hand, I have to have a friend or family member who actually gives a shit. And when they're busy blowing me off and letting me know they don't actually care, that literally everything in their life is more important than me, up to and including a piece of glass. That's right. A marijuana pipe was more important than my life to Miss Peaches. I'm almost out of gas again. On the bright side, I got all of my Christmas shopping done already this year. I spent $17.01 on an explosive and some bullets. And I gave them to a 20-year-old. Legally. Just so you know. I did that on this channel. It's a 20-year-old that I'm not even happy with. I like him. I like his personality. I ain't gonna lie. I like his personality. He's fun. He's outgoing. He's very Nebraskan, if you know what I'm saying. If it goes boom, he likes it. That's kind of the Nebraska way. There is no cowboy way, just so you know. There ain't no cowboys left. You want to know something about cowboys, you got to go south of the border. You got to talk to them caballeros. The men out there who are actually still riding on them horses. The ones who are still using that open range. Also, I noticed that there seems to be a lot of people that want to thank Jesus for the food they got on their plate. I want to thank Jesus, because that's a lot more to the point. Jesus didn't go out there and pick that. When it comes to migrant workers, you keep in mind that all the food on your plate came from a migrant worker. There is not a single piece of food that you're going to get in a grocery store that was not touched by an immigrant. There's also the fact that all of you are descendants of immigrants, even indigenous peoples. We are all immigrants in this country. All life and all humanity started elsewhere. It did not start in the United States of America. It did not start on the North American continent. It didn't start in Northeast Asia. It didn't start in the northern portion of Europe. It didn't start in Australia or South America, life either began in the Middle East or Northeast Africa. That would be Southeast Asia or Northeast Africa. That means everybody outside of those areas, and mind you, that area right there, when we say that nearly everybody in the world has Persian ancestry, that's Baghdad, that's Iraq, that's ancient Samaria, that's ancient. We've got stories. We want to talk about how great the Greeks were, right? How they defeated King Xerxes, right? And we sensationalize the hell out of that story. We also ignore the fact that if you were a Spartan, first of all, you were a slave owner. You owned slaves. Second of all, homosexuality was mandatory for a soldier, and if you were a Spartan, you were a soldier. We like to ignore pieces of history that are a little too greasy for us, don't we? Those pieces of history that are a little too slimy towards our own people. We don't want to admit that we were the slithering snakes or that our ancestors were the slithering snakes. We've also got a lot of minority groups that are wanting to blame us, the younger generations, for what our parents and our grandparents and our great-grandparents did. Sigi's German. His mother is Czechoslovakian and his father is German. His grandfather actually fought in World War II. He had another man shoot him in the leg so he didn't have to fight for the Nazis, according to Sigi. Maybe it's true, maybe it ain't. I don't know his grandpa. I didn't see his leg. I don't know if he got a gunshot wound. I don't know if he waited till the last day of the war and then stripped out of his Nazi SS uniform and got into a regular German soldier's uniform. For all I know, his grandfather could have been a freedom fighter who saved the lives of hundreds of Jews. There's a place called the Black Forest. If you've ever heard of it, you probably pay attention to World War II. If you know anything about the Black Forest, you know that is the home of one of 3 forest resistance groups, comprised primarily of Jews and resistance fighters who were helping the Jews to get away. And that did actually include several Nazi SS officials, sneaking them guns. But they snuck partisan guns. You know what partisan guns are, right? Well, that would be like French partisans, Belgian partisans. Anybody who was fighting against the Germans as a civilian was a partisan. Any guns they got a hold of. Well, if a German got those guns, they were supposed to turn them into their COs, and then they're supposed to write down the serial numbers, and they're supposed to go to a warehouse, and then they're supposed to be redistributed to either warehouses for later use in case of emergencies, or distributed, of course, to the Volkssturm, which are the German version of the National Guard, basically. It was, all right, you can hold a gun, here's a gun. That's what it was reduced to at the end of the war. I want to believe people. That's the thing. I want to believe people. I wanted to believe that Mandy Hughes tried to make a police report and that the things that she said were true. I wanted to believe it, but she's got no proof. She doesn't know the name of the officer. Same thing with Brandon Ratner. Doesn't know the name of the officer. Doesn't have any proof that the conversation took place. Doesn't have any proof that he had any evidence and turned it in. Zero proof. I just have to take his word for it. And if he's not coming forward to anybody else, he's full of shit. If you can tell me, but you can't tell the courts, then you fucking lied to me. And that's as simple as it is, because it's the way that they played it. It's the way that the police played it. Because you didn't come forward, Brandon Ratner. I must be a liar. You see how that works? Now, Brandon Ratner was there for me trying to get help. He was there for multiple situations with me trying to get help. But to this day, he has never come forward. No, what he's got instead is his dumbass recorded on my channel playing fucking retarded. And all these people, you notice that I followed the instructions when it came to them. When it came to safety issues with Natalie Marie Bollinger and her disappearing. As a friend or family member, it says, try to see the person regularly. Well, that didn't work. I was trying to get the fuck away from her. So that doesn't fit, does it? It says, frequent visits will help you determine if the person shows signs of abuse or neglect. I already knew she showed signs of abuse and neglect. I knew her. I knew she was suicidal because she told me. But instead of calling it in and having her locked up, I did as she asked. And it did make her feel better. What made her feel worse was her fucking family downing on her the whole time, like I must be a horrible monster because they have assumptions. Well, they have assumptions from their perspective. What did her mom do while she was homeless? While Rose M. Kelly was homeless, she got fucked up on drugs and alcohol. No, she didn't make good choices while she was homeless, and the homeless life that she understands is basically being homeless and having sex with people for drugs like, well, Ted Bollinger. It says, get to know the staff who are taking care of the person. I already knew the people in her life. The ones that I knew in person, I knew the quality of person that they were, and the ones that I didn't know, I knew from what she was telling me, and that's all. So for all I know, everything that Natalie Marie Bollinger ever told me was a lie. But if it's a lie that she told to Bobby Forrest and Samantha Daniels as well. There's also, of course, from those people, evidence that Natalie and her sister both said those things. Now, for me, having to believe people is useless. Now, it says, get to know the staff who are taking care of the person. Now, as far as this goes, this is on elder abuse. It's not on suicide prevention. And it's not on, for when somebody is mentally ill. That's called developmentally disabled. And by the way, the rights that I have been deprived are the rights of a developmentally disabled person, which, even if I were schizophrenic, I would still be considered developmentally disabled and therefore be entitled to these rights as an American citizen. Anyway, let's get to the next one. Now, for the whole year before she was killed, I didn't give a fuck where she was. I thought she was in Virginia. I was pissed off at the fact that she was able to victimize me from all the way in Virginia, and I was told jurisdiction doesn't matter. But then, of course, I get paperwork, and of course, the paperwork, none of this stuff happened in the place where she filed it. None of it happened in the place where I was served the papers. And of course, the police and the person who was there with the officer did not follow the law. Why is it they went out of their way every step of the way to make sure that the body cameras in my situations were never released? Because what they did to me was far worse than what they did to Samuel Leon Lawrence IV, but you guys are racist assholes. What they did to me and continue to do to me is far worse than what they ever did to Zayd Atkinson, the whiny little fucking whore. That's right. He fucked us all for cash. He fucked over actual victims for some cash. Sold a racist narrative just to make a few bucks off the American taxpayers. That's not the police that paid him. That's not Boulder County that paid him. That's your fucking tax dollars. The tax dollars that should be being used for battered women's shelters. But then again, leave it up to Boulder to spend $7 million and only get 122 beds out of it. Most of those beds are in 2 dormitory rooms where they're all bunk beds. Congratulations, you're stupid. It says express any concerns you may have right away. Keep notes of the conversations. Now that I absolutely did. I kept note. I recorded everything that I could, how I could. And not just about her abuse, but also about the abuse that I was going through. Now this is stuff that, of course, I'd already gone through this as a kid. I'd also spoken with lawyers. I need a friend or a family member, or a guardian and an advocate. And the thing with a guardian and an advocate is that I need both. They're supposed to provide me with both. I've been provided with neither. It says take pictures if there are signs of abuse or poor health standards. Offer to accompany the person to medical appointments, financial institutions, and other important meetings. Now this is all stuff that, of course, this is all the help that I needed in order to stop the abuse from Natalie and her friends over a false narrative. Now, as far as the help that she needed actually stopping the abuse, the mandated reporter stuff, the stuff I should be reading to you. The stuff that actually works for ending abuse, for stopping abuse. And that's it right there. That's the preventative measures. You guys tell me to get away from my predators. Natalie was dependent upon her predators, same as I'm dependent on mine. All these people who decided to be predatory after the fact, there's a reason for it. They fucked up. They know they fucked up. That's why they aren't willing to come forward and be honest. That's why I had to record them months and months and months after the fact. JB 1987 Osorio typed amen. That was almost 15 minutes ago. So whatever you said amen to, I'm sorry I missed it. Also, I usually say gay men, and that's in support of the LGBT community. Although not LGBT pride, because I've come to realize that that is a sexist hate group. Not every heterosexual out there is hateful towards the LGBT community, and therefore not every straight person out there deserves the hate that you have. Many of us stick up for your rights. There's a lot of people who have told me I got to go to the back of the bus for various reasons. Women telling me that I have to go to the back of the bus because I'm a male and blah, 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 blah. Sure, they will acknowledge that men get victimized once in a great while. One of those folks will, but not generally. Most of the time when you tell them about your abuse and you're trying to get help stopping your abuse in specific, the abuse that you're still enduring, and they want to tell you about generally, hold on a second here. I don't live an average life. I don't have an average 1.5 kids. Matter of fact, I would be creeped the fuck out if I had half a kid. I don't have 2 cars in my garage. I'm not married. I have no children. I do not have an exactly 5 3/4 inch length of penis. I am not 6'1", and I believe the average height of the American male is actually higher than that now. So, I mean, I'm not average. My intelligence is far above average. One of the worst things about being intelligent, the older I get, the more I realize I have definitely given people too much credit for their intelligence. Like, people don't realize that if they just stand by and let Hitler put all the Jews in a fucking oven, well, they might be the next one shoved in a fucking oven. If they let all the Jews be used for forced labor, well, they might just go through and decide to use you for forced labor. Belgium. And they did, didn't they? The Polish, the Belgians, the French. Was it just the Jews? No, it wasn't. It was everyone. Moral of the story, don't bullshit me. You'll get caught and I'll expose you. Now, if there's a misunderstanding, you have a chance to rectify that misunderstanding. And I will give you that chance. If you want it. If not, then I just continue speaking out on my YouTube because your actions were different than your words. Good to be rid of you. Thanks for coming to visit. Stay out of trouble or don't get caught. Remember, you are your brother's keeper and no victim left behind. And that includes Sigi, if people are fucking with his Facebook or YouTube. If he's a victim in all this, he should be heard. If this is a misunderstanding, he should be heard. If he's being an abhorrent fuckhead, he should be incarcerated.